Hey, happy Thursday. It is Tools Thursday, like always. Today, I might be on my own. We'll see if Dr. V can show up. But I had a couple of tools I wanted to show today, and I've never really had a chance to show them before. And I like to give the guests as much leeway as they want to show whatever it is that they want to show. But there are a couple of specialty tools and one general purpose tool that I've been meaning to talk to you about for a while, and now's my opportunity to do it. And the first one is GT metrics. Now, here's the thing about measuring the speed of your website. You can drive yourself crazy if you buy into if you don't have it load in less than a second, then 30% of the people who ever go to your website are going to bounce. Unless you're a business that does all of your commerce on your website, you don't have to worry about so much. If you're a smaller business, if you sell auto parts, if you're a coach, if you're a masseuse, if you're any kind of service-based business or a smaller kind of business, people are perfectly fine waiting 2 seconds for your website to load. In fact, most of them just assume that it's their connection and not even your website that's slow. So what you do is you go to GT metrics. It's GT and then metrics is an RIX instead of RICS. You just type in the URL for your website or any other website or a competitor's website. And after about a minute or so, it will come up and tell you, this is Amazon, it will tell you the various metrics, the various speed scores and stuff that it looks at. And like I said, even Amazon only scores a B with an 84% in performance and 74% with structure. And this is Amazon. I mean, they have essentially, compared to you or I, unlimited funds to make this as fast as possible. Now, granted, they're trying to load a lot onto a page, but they don't have to. LinkedIn's login page is very simple. It only has like a form and a couple of graphics. So, I mean, just as an example, like here's mine. It's 1% slower on the load score, 90% instead of 74, I think it was 74% for structure and so on. It actually like finishes its painting, or what they call like the last graphic painted in, faster on mine than it does. And then it's slower on some other stuff. So the point here is not to, continue to shave off a tenth of a second and a tenth of a second and put your time and resources and pay too much attention to what it's telling you down here. But I can tell you that if your site comes in at 3, 4, 5, or God forbid longer than 5 seconds to load for your homepage, then you should take a look at some of the recommendations here for how to speed it up. 9 times out of 10, the reason your website is slow is because you've got a really cheap hosting plan at HostGator or Bluehost or DreamHost or some GoDaddy, someplace like that. And it's on a shared server with 10,000 other companies that have a website. And there are some things you can do to speed that up. Some things you can do if you use WordPress, some plugins you can buy, or even free ones that'll reorder how things are loaded on the page so they load faster for people and they start seeing something faster, and ways to make sure that images are optimized so they're not too big. And there's all kinds of free stuff you can do. But if you're like 2 seconds or below, then don't worry about this. Like even Amazon, like we saw, was about 2.3 seconds. So GT metrics, there are a couple of websites that do this. I like GT metrics a lot, mainly because I find it very consistent. I don't get wildly different scores when I check my own website, from even from minute to minute. So first tool, GT Metrics, GTmetrix.com. Okay, the next one, this is for if you make videos or you have any need for royalty-free music. Now, we've talked about in the past some of the tools that the guests had mentioned around royalty-free images and royalty-free graphics and music. Just to be clear, royalty-free means that you either through a subscription or as a one-off purchase, you buy a license to use it in a particular way, and then you can use it on your website. You can use it in your app. You can use it as the music before you start a LinkedIn Live streaming session or whatever. My favorite, and I have maybe 4 different services that use this, but by far the one I love the most is called Epidemic Sound, for a couple of reasons. One is that, as far as I can tell, they commission all of the artists to make the music so that they're not licensing the music themselves and then licensing it out to you And at some point, that chain could ever break down. Instead, as far as I can tell, they buy it outright, and then they can license as much as they want, and they'll never lose their license to it, which means you'll never use your license to it. Maybe that's a concern. Maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion, but that's one reason. The other reason, probably the main feature, and the reason you might want to use Epidemic Sound, is this: if you've ever looked for music, especially, and you say, "Boy, I really like that melody, but I wish there wasn't any singing in it." Or if you're especially sort of musically inclined, and I am not, you might say, "Boy, I really love that drum beat, right? I really love that like loop. I really love X or Y part of this song, but not the whole song." But for most sites, you have to take the whole song, and then you really don't have a way of breaking stuff out. Epidemic Sound lets you pick all just the parts that you want or the entire song. So they call them stems. So there's like a drum beat and there's bass and there's the instruments and there's the vocals. You can either download the whole thing as one file, just like any other piece of music, and it's all blended together and mixed together properly, or you can actually say, just give me all the pieces and I'm going to use the ones that I like. So here's an example of that. We're just going to pick this song. Now I'm going to decide, you see on my screen, I'm going to decide that I only want the instruments. Notice the drums are gone, bass is gone. Right now someone would be singing, but we don't have vocals turned on. Here's the drums. So it's actually picking up right in the part of the song where it would normally play, but now we've isolated it out to just the songs. And so here's the bass. Maybe you really love this bass sound. I'm not particularly fond of it, but it is what it is. And there are even vocals here. So while you're riding on your own, but here's the full thing. I see you turn and there is pretty cool, right? So if I wanted this, but it didn't have an instrumental version, I could download all the stems, delete or never use the vocals, and then just use the rest of it as the music for background music. And in fact, I did a series, a 10-part series about the cable industry for LinkedIn, a video series, not live, but all pre-recorded a couple of years ago. This was the opening track for, I think it has a really good first few seconds. And so I just used this as the opening track, and I didn't like the music. I didn't want the vocals in it, so I just used it without the vocals. It's got kind of like a nice, decent energy to open up a video, before you start talking to camera like I am now. So Epidemic Sound, highly recommend them. How it works is they normally like you to just tell them your YouTube channel, your Facebook channel, your Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, and they'll just whitelist it. And so you'll never get a copyright claim by using the music once you've paid it. And here's the thing: even if it's a subscription, you can go month to month or annually. You have the license forever. Even if you just had a 1-month subscription, you went in and used a whole bunch of music and then stop your monthly subscription and never had it again, you're already grandfathered in. You'll never have another copyright claim saying, "Hey, YouTube, this person shouldn't be using our music." And then YouTube gets mad at you and makes you take down your music and all that kind of stuff. And then there's one other service. We talked, I think it was Dr. V, Dr. V is just a fanatic with, he's a fanatic with Canva. He's a hardcore. Canva's his girlfriend. But there's an alternate service that I use. Now, unlike Canva, with Elements from Envato, you can't make anything brand new, but it's an all-in-one, all-you-can-eat service for almost any kind of anything you might ever want for sales presentations, brochures, your website, PowerPoint presentations, videos. It has music. It has all kinds of stuff. So I honestly don't remember what I pay for this. I think it's about $149 a year. And you have all of this stuff. You have motion graphics. If you don't know what motion graphics are, it's like these sort of animated kind of things. Hopefully you can see that this is moving. This one's not moving very much. There's sort of a COVID kind of thing, I guess. And so you use this in an Instagram video. You put it together. You can go to TikTok and sort of add in your elements if you're doing your stuff there. I actually started with this site by the presentation templates. So you can go in and get all of these templates that are pre-built so that you look way more professional and fancy when you're giving a PowerPoint presentation or using slides while you give a talk or something. And what it does is all the text on these things is sort of like it's all fake text, but and they make them for Google. It's Google Slides and PowerPoint and Keynote. And especially if you like if you wish that you could have really nice animation in your slides, but animation in all of these tools is very sort of minimal, except for Apple Keynote, it's almost impossible to do it well and smoothly. Well, all of these graphic artists have built all of these animated slides. All you have to do is sort of fill in the text, and it's all editable. So you can even change, you can literally change anything about it, even the animation sequence and stuff. But if you just leave it in place and like to have stuff like swoop in really smoothly and have it all laid out beautifully and aligned and all that kind of stuff, then I highly, highly recommend this. If you want to buy these things individually, by the way, you just go to envato.com, envato.com. And they'll have a bunch of sites under that. Most of the presentations come from a site called Graphic River, I think. Most of the music comes from a site called Audio Jungle, and I think they just bought all these companies many years ago and put them all together. But I like having everything in one place. Almost every thumbnail image for all of the videos that we do here are all done with the 2020, which is a site that's in here that has like, I don't know, 50 million photographs, all royalty free. So I never have to worry about licensing and copyright and that kind of stuff. So Envato Elements, just fantastic, fantastic tool. If you find that you really wish that you had professional quality, beautiful graphics that you could use, or music or whatever, for one low price, you get the entire thing. There's no limits on downloads. You can have as much of it as you want. They have hundreds of thousands of pieces in here, and a very good search tool. I have to give them credit for it. A very good search tool. This is looking at presentation templates just for animation, so that now when if I download these, I can. They're all the animations are built. And if I didn't care about the animations, but I wanted something like a coach, do it, and here's a bunch of them around coaches, and then I would build my presentation off of that. And then you own the copyright to these, or rather you've licensed the copyright to these, so you can make any changes you want, any changes that you want, and then you can use it in your brochures, use it on your website, export it out as images, put it wherever you want. Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts, wherever you want to go. So Envato Elements, fantastic, fantastic value for the money. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what it costs anymore, but I pay about $149 a year. Totally worth it. And that's it. That's the tools for today. So we had GT Metrics to check the speed of your site. We had Epidemic Sound, which lets you download music, but also any part of a piece of music. So it makes it much more convenient for you to just have exactly what you wanted. And then Envato Elements, which is an all-for-one buffet of everything from footage to photographs, presentation templates, motion graphics, clip art. Oh my God, like anything you can think of graphics-wise that you might ever use, or that someone might have actually produced from Canva, you can all have it pre-made just using an all-in-one buffet style subscription. So that's it for Tools Thursday for this week. We'll see everybody on Monday.